Let me tell you, nothing will wake you up to the madness of HOA politics like coming home to find a 1950s fire truck blocking your driveway. And that's just where my week started. You want to talk about audacity? Try going toe-to-toe with someone who thinks a tree is a personal insult and is dead set on teaching you a lesson about community aesthetics, even if it costs thousands in the end. Still wrapping my head around it all, honestly, but here goes. I live on what folks around here call a flag lot. My house sits tucked away behind a row of other homes, with a long, skinny driveway running out to the street, kind of like the flag on a pole. That strip of asphalt isn't just some path anyone can use. It's a deeded easement, which means I have the legal right, in writing and stamped and notarized, to use that driveway, and nobody gets to block it. I've got the land survey, the deed from when I bought the place 5 years ago, and a mountain of HOA paperwork to back me up. I'm the kind of person who keeps every slip of paper, every meeting note, every email, every bylaw update, because you never know when someone's going to try something slick. And, buddy, did the HOA president ever try? I'll call her Linda. The day she moved in, she seemed to decide our little neighborhood needed a vision, one that apparently didn't include my massive old oak tree by the road. Now, this tree isn't just any tree. It's at least a century and a half old. Its branches stretch wide and generous, and it stands right at the bend where my driveway meets the street. In the summer, it drops a cool patch of shade you could nap under for hours. And it's protected by city code, thanks to its age and size. Linda, though, she hates it. Says it spoils the perfect row of decorative saplings all the other houses planted. She sent me more letters than I care to count, at least 24, demanding I cut it down. I ignore them all because the law's on my side, and honestly, that tree is the reason I bought this place. 6 months back, she cranked up the drama, claimed the tree was a safety risk, and threatened to fine me. So I paid a city arborist to inspect it, then mailed her the report, clear bill of health for the tree, and a copy of the municipal code that said in big, bold letters, heritage trees can't be touched. That quieted things for a while. Until 2 weeks ago. I'd gone out of state for a few days to visit family, nothing fancy, just a little break. Got back late Sunday night, tired and just wanted my own bed. But what do I find in my driveway? A giant, ancient fire truck, rusted red, about 35 feet long, cones all around it, and a sign slapped on the grill that read, "Future site of the Heritage Gate. Temporary obstruction for community improvement." I just sat there in my car, stunned. No way around it, no way in. My driveway is narrow, barely wide enough for a car, and this truck took up every inch. I parked on the street, grabbed my bag, and went over for a closer look. The thing looked like it hadn't moved in decades. Another little sign announced, "Project authorized by HOA board. Contact board president for details." You better believe I called Linda right away. She picked up after a few rings, dripping fake sweetness, asked about my trip, said she hoped I liked their new community project. Well, I demanded to know why she'd blocked my property. Her voice dropped that sweetness like a rock. Told me the board had voted to store the truck there while they worked on a new heritage gate for the neighborhood entrance. I reminded her, firmly, that this was my private easement, not some public park. She said it looked like community property, so the HOA had every right, and that my personal convenience didn't outweigh the needs of the neighborhood. I told her she was dead wrong, that I had the deed to prove it, and this was illegal. She got nasty fast, said the truck would be there at least a month while permits went through, suggested I park on the street 2 blocks over and walk a little. When I pressed her on where the HOA even found a relic like this, she said they bought it from another county and planned to make it a decorative centerpiece. But the real kicker came at the end of the call. She hinted that if I was willing to be more reasonable about the oak tree, maybe the board could move the truck somewhere else. That's when it hit me. This was no mix-up. It was a shakedown. I was steaming, but something caught my eye. Under the fire truck's bumper, a black puddle was spreading. I crouched down, flicked on my phone's flashlight, and found a slow, steady drip from the hydraulic system, a thick petroleum-smelling sludge. Not only was this an eyesore, it was leaking hazardous fluid all over my land. I took a pile of photos, different angles, close-ups, made sure the timestamp was visible, then got on the phone. First call, the city's after-hours line, reporting an unpermitted structure blocking emergency access. Second call, the environmental hotline, letting them know about the chemical spill. I wanted a paper trail before I made my next move. Next morning, I called the city's permit office, asked if there were any applications on file for a gate or sign project at my address. The clerk checked. Nothing. No permits, no pending paperwork, no record of any heritage gate anywhere nearby. It was all a farce. Then I rang up the local tow company that the HOA normally uses. They told me, thanks to Linda, they'd been instructed not to touch the truck. At that point, I realized I needed a different kind of help. Instead of playing HOA chess, I treated the whole mess like what it really was, an abandoned, leaking industrial vehicle blocking my only way in or out. I found a heavy equipment recovery outfit an hour away. They did big jobs, didn't care about HOA politics. Called them up, explained the situation, sent over the pictures. The guy on the phone told me it would take their biggest truck with a crane and quoted a price that made me whistle. Base fee, $2,800, plus hourly, plus mileage, plus disposal. Total came out to $4,200. He said they'd bill the vehicle owner for the rest, so all I needed was the drop fee. I scheduled them for Thursday morning. Spent Wednesday night prepping my paperwork. Copies of the deed, land survey, arborist report, a letter authorizing removal, and a fat stack of photos. Thursday, 8 a.m. sharp, the recovery crew rolled up, massive rig, rotating crane, guys who looked like they'd seen it all. They walked around the truck, checked the leak, nodded to each other, then had me sign some forms. By this time, neighbors started poking their heads out, watching from their porches, whispering. The crew took almost 2 hours to get the old fire truck up and onto the flatbed, lifting it slowly so nothing else leaked out. Watching that hunk of metal dangle in the air felt like sweet, weird justice. They handed me a receipt. I paid the $4,200 on my card, and off they went. Not an hour later, Linda stomped over, fuming, yelling about theft, accusing me of destroying community property. I calmly told her I'd had an abandoned, hazardous vehicle removed from my land and gave her the impound company's card. I explained that her truck was now safe in a secure lot, waiting for whoever wanted to claim it, after paying up for the trouble. Her face went pale when she heard the price, and even paler when I mentioned the daily storage fee, $200 a day. She started sputtering, demanding how I expected the HOA to pay. I told her, with a straight face, that wasn't my problem. But I wasn't done. I called my lawyer. By Friday, my attorney filed a construction lien on the HOA's common areas, covering not only the cost of the tow and storage, but damages and legal fees. Now, the HOA couldn't sell, refinance, or even do any big project until they paid up. Turns out, Linda never got board approval to move that fire truck. Her own bylaws require a majority vote for anything over $1,000, or that creates liability. Their insurance refused to cover it. She'd exposed the whole HOA and herself to massive risk just to stick it to me over a tree. Monday, the board called an emergency meeting. Everyone had to be notified, so word got around fast. I skipped it, but my neighbors fill me in. Linda tried to play it off as me overreacting to a minor parking issue, but when the board heard about the bills stacking up and the lien, they turned on her quick. The real twist came when the HOA's attorney called me up, polite as can be. They wanted to settle, offer to pay every penny, plus damages, plus lawyers' fees as long as I'd agree to drop the lien and let things move on. Only catch. I insisted Linda resign her post and stay off the board for at least 2 years. They caved in less than a day. The check was hand-delivered by courier Friday, along with an agreement. No more projects or vehicles on my easement, ever. With the money, I upgraded my security cameras, put up a sign at the driveway, big, bold letters, private easement. Unauthorized vehicles will be recovered at owner's expense. No exceptions. A few days later, I caught Linda walking her dog, eyeing my oak tree. We locked eyes, her scowling, me just smiling, leaning on my fence. She shook her head, muttered something, and moved on. The tree is still standing, lush and proud. My driveway is clear, and my mailbox is a little fuller thanks to a fat settlement. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't loud, it's methodical. Knowing your rights, keeping your paperwork tight, and letting the other side dig their own grave. That old fire truck? Still sitting in the impound lot last I checked. A rusty monument to petty power plays and stubbornness. That whole ordeal taught me something I probably knew deep down, but never really lived until now. Sometimes you don't need to fight dirty. You just need to fight smart and let the rules and a little karma do the heavy lifting. Justice doesn't always come with fanfare, but man, it feels good when it does. So here's the question I keep circling back to. Where's the line between standing up for yourself and just letting things slide for peace? Is it ever right to bend, or does giving an inch always mean you'll lose a mile, especially with people who think rules don't apply to them? I'd love to hear how you'd have handled it, or if you've got a wild HOA story of your own. Drop it below, or just weigh in on what you think is real justice. Let's see whose side you're on.